I believe that it is excessive to call the Russian Revolution a revolution at all. Yes, there was turnover in government, replaced with new leaders with seemingly positive ideals. However, after Russia suffered the millions of deaths under Lenin's rule, it began to look like an updated continuation of Nicholas II. It was more of an evolution than revolution, the way Russian government slowly brought in totalitarian leaders with slightly better morals each time. The revolution the people of Russia were starved for was true freedom and rights in their everyday lives. The leaders and some of their ideologies may change, but the power dynamic does not, breeding generations of poverty and struggle for the citizens. The state in which Russia found itself before the revolution was dismal. There was a common distrust in Nicholas II, and morale, the economy, and resources were less than proficient. His distaste for the position caused catastrophe and scandal within the monarchy, and his negligence cost many people their rights and lives. To quote an article from Britannica on the Revolution, there was no hand on the helm, and the ship was drifting onto the rocks. There was only so much turmoil and loss the people of Russia could suffer. Protests had begun appearing sporadically, but it would have been improbable the united front of the people could pose such a threat in Russia. On February 23, 1917, the revolution began. Petrograd factory workers marched in the streets, advocating for higher wages, as around 130,000 men were picketing outside of their workplaces. Although the strikers had strong numbers, neither the State Duma or the officers paid them much mind. The day following, the mass of strikers grew, and around 30% of all Petrograd workers showed up to advocate for their rights. The third day, however, was the true uprising. The strikers assumed an aggressive manner, raiding police stations and destroying shops in the factory district. The authorities retaliated, killing many protesters and dispersing crowds, but their actions were futile. They were now fighting a losing battle. If anything, the mob's passion grew as the government tried to silence them. Sergei Kabalov, the military governor of the capital, took arguably the most notable action in suppressing the revolution, sending troops to detain soldiers that had revolted and joined it. Determined soldiers had almost straight away upon engaging with demonstrators, began joining them eagerly. The government then made no more advances in quelling the influx of protesters, instead urging the Tsar to compromise with the revolution. Despite their success so far, the revolutionaries were far from perfect. They were overcome with confidence and tended to be poorly organized. Sending more troops after the protesters could have easily maintained the power of the Tsar. But the Duma knew that although the citizens would be neutralized in the short term, the threat of revolution would remain. However, not all Duma members were ready to accept the fate without a fight. The Duma speaker, Mikhail Rodzianko, frantically sent telegrams to the Tsar and other officials, appealing the decision to concede power to the people. No matter the pushback, the casualties and massive loss of land was too great of a hit for Russia, and Nicholas was forced to abdicate. Over 300 years of monarchy rule was ended, and a provisional government was established, led by Prince Georgy Lvov, then Alexander Kerensky. It lasted no more than 8 months before the October Revolution, wherein Vladimir Lenin led the Bolshevik Party to power. The Bolsheviks viewed their work as revolution, telling themselves they were changing Russia for the better, but there was no real transfer of power from the privileged to the people. This is not to say that there were not positive changes within the Russian Revolution. Reforms were made, the economy stabilized, the government becoming slightly more efficient in their true responsibility to strengthen the nation and the people in it. For instance, Lenin's administration redistributed lands amongst peasantries, and he worked to increase general access to education. However, every step Lenin took towards his visual for a powerful Russia, millions of lives were sacrificed and ruined. He was overcome with his own plans for a country that would exercise complete control over others, that he not only neglected his citizens, he was willing to sacrifice millions of them. Rising in the Soviet Union hierarchy was more of a priority than the quality of life for the people he had promised to liberate.